Hi everyone, my name is Nikki and today we're just going to do a short yin yoga sequence. Ideally you have a mat, but even a soft place to practice on would be great. You just need room. If you have pillows or a blanket, sometimes props can help just either, soften the ground beneath you or sometimes lift it up to make poses more accessible. That might be nice as well. So we're gonna get started. I will get you to actually come into our first pose, which is a wide leg forward fold. So the feet can come wide. You want to think of a wide leg fold as being not as wide as you would take it standing or actively, right? If you haven't taken yin before, you want to be able to relax and kind of surrender into these poses. If you're folding forwards, you want a sense of your pelvis sort of tipping forwards a little so that you can fold easily. For a lot of us, lifting the hips up onto a block or a pillow or something will help make that more accessible. Feet will relax. For some of us, they'll fall in, some of us out. And then you're just going to come forwards a little bit and fold. So you can see I don't have a lot of space in this one. It's just the way my body is. Some of you are going to get really close to the ground here and some of us not so much. So because we hold these poses, the stretches aren't active. You want to really be able to let the body fall into place. Right? Most of the benefits of these long held postures come through surrender, right? The opportunity for the deep connective tissues to be involved. And probably for some of us, the most challenging thing is some of that shows up without sensation. And so some of these poses will be really intense, and some of them you might feel nothing at all, and you kind of need to trust that even if you don't feel much, there is a benefit of unfolding. And if it happens not to be physical, which absolutely can be the case, maybe just acknowledge that being still, finding some breath, some peace, some quiet, is actually a beautifully beneficial thing as well. So we'll take maybe not even a minute here. Right, the back body rounds, head hangs heavy. There's no tension, energy, or activity in my neck or shoulders. Right, I've surrendered through the legs, inner and outer. And just notice, right, muscles in the face, relaxed here. And a chance also to notice the quality of the mind now that we've begun to get still. Right, if it is busy or something's going on in the mind, right, it's not always as easy as just intending to get quiet and settle down. Right, you can kind of release the effort and let the mind sort of run until the practice starts to calm it down. Or you can give the mind something to do. Right? Maybe you notice sensation, watch the body relax and relent. Maybe you focus on the breath, watch it unfold. One or two more here. And then a slow restack of the spine. And turning towards the left leg. So I'm going to leave my legs in a wide leg shape. If you notice this right knee wants a little bit of space, you can bend the right knee. The right foot would land at the inner thigh, and it'll take some of the work out of that right leg for now. So now we should feel more of a stretch through the left hamstring into that inner left leg, like maybe the outer hip. But again, you do want to let that left foot relax. And there was a bit of effort and energy to draw myself forwards into the fold, but then most of it, happens here through surrender. And same thing here. Try to find the places in the body that you're holding on. Right? Effort, energy, work with no purpose. And notice, if the mind needs something to do, can you focus on the breath? The physical experience unfolding here, however easy or intense. An option absolutely to stay in the fold, or maybe now just shifting into a bit of a stretch through the side body. So I have enough space for this elbow to land on the floor. You could use pillow, blocks. Sometimes I'll use my elbow on my shin just past my knee. The quad sometimes is a little bit much because it'll press into the muscle, but you're just trying to open now so that the right side is a little more turned towards the sky. And you can catch the head in the hand here. You could just have the body surrendering. I like to support the neck, so I come here. And if you want more intensity, that right arm comes up and behind the head, just lightly landed. Sometimes even sneaking it behind the back is a nice stretch through the shoulders. But we're really just looking through a nice stretch through the right side. Right, again, the right knee could be bent. That might serve as more of an anchor for you, or just make the pose more accessible. Right, face relaxes, trying not to engage or work through the shoulders here. Just another minute. Just take a few more breaths. A slow release up through center. Find a chance to just notice how the body lets go, tension, energy, effort. And then moving towards the second side, so shifting towards the right leg. So this leg is extended long. And again, if you'd prefer the bent knee, you can bend to the left knee. Left foot comes about to the inner left thigh. And if it doesn't feel okay in the neck with the fold, you can also use hands, pillows, something else to support the head if you don't want the full weight of the head draping forwards here. You go looking for where the body's holding tension, effort, energy. And watch the experience unfold, both the letting go and also where the body needs to hold on. Right? And you can always stay in the fold. This might be what serves you. Or maybe over the next few breaths, finding some version of the side body stretch. Right, so I'm going to land my right elbow on my right shin. You could take it inside the leg, outside. You could use pillows or books or something to build the earth up towards you. And looking for a stretch along the left side, that may mean left arm just sneaking behind the back, or sometimes the left arm behind the head. It's really nice. Right, eyes can soften or even close. My breath is soft, sort of inviting the body to follow suit. Right, and if there's a sense of gripping, of holding on, or of the mind getting caught up in some experience of obsessing over something, right, we work to sort of soften and relax these things little by little, bit by bit, right? Some changes are sudden, but most of the time they take work, attention, right, time. Yeah, not even a minute here now. Last few breaths here. And notice if you're trying to get somewhere or accomplish something, just be. Another breath in and out. And then slowly rising up. Again, notice how the body lets go. Experience the sort of changes, the shifts. And then we'll shift gears a little bit. So coming into tabletop, we'll move the spine a little before we come into our next couple poses here. So coming into cow pose gently though, stomach sinks, heart lifts. And then cat pose, arching the back, lots of stretch. Cow pose on the breath in. And then cat. Last time, cow pose, big breath. Cat pose, nice and slow transition. And then a neutral spine, and the left foot will step outside of the left hand. Toes are going to turn out, so they're angled almost like they're angling towards the front left corner of my mat. Right, you want to stance long enough that there's a long line under the legs. And you can stay on the ball of the back foot or drop to the top of the foot. Hands works for this pose as well, or forearms as well. Right, and you don't need to fight to keep the hips in line, but you don't want to just drop too deep into this stretch either. Right, you can let the left knee come out wide a little bit, so you can fall onto the pinky edge side of that left foot if you'd like. Right, so the stretch is in that inner left leg here. There's right quad into the abdomen, hip flexor a little bit, some of that lower right side as well. Again, my head is heavy if it's not quite working. You could use something under the forehead here to catch it. You could use the thumbs if you're deep enough. Sometimes I do that. Notice how much you're fighting. That sort of sink, letting gravity draw you a little closer to the earth. And again, the letting go is incremental. Tiny shifts, little bits of permission as you get a little closer towards the earth here. And we'll have about another 90 seconds. You can stay exactly as you are, or for the side body stretch, you could walk the torso off the mat to the right. And if you were on the hands, you might notice now the possibility of finding the forearms. But the stretch now has also moved into my left side body here. I'm just aware too of that back knee, making sure there's no like dangerous pull or torquing. Last couple breaths. And slowly coming back to center. And mindfully pressing back to table. Take a couple breaths. Table, you might press the hips back to child's pose. Even sitting back on the heels might feel nice. And then coming into the second side, so the right foot steps forwards, right? Finding length in this stance. Right toes turn out, right? That left knee is on the earth. You could have used something under the knee or even the left shin for a little bit of support or ease. And then finding the forearms here, if you'd like, otherwise staying on the hands. And again, this is one of those poses you could bring the earth up towards you. And you can let that right foot kind of drop onto the pinky outside of the foot if it wants to here. And a good chance to sort of check in and notice if the quality of mind has shifted or changed at all, just from a few poses and being willing to land. And then staying here for this last half a minute, we're now walking away from the right foot towards the left, right? Taking care of the left knee. So I tend to have a lot of trouble with my knees. I have to be careful and sort of adjust, find places that work. Right, so always permission not to take any of these variations, especially if you're noticing it doesn't quite make sense in your body today. I'm just looking to find more of a stretch along the right side. Just a few more breaths, face soft, jaw soft. Last chance to drop into this place. And slowly, mindfully, making your way out of this pose. Again, maybe child's pose, maybe sitting back on the heels. And the knees will come wide, and we'll come into child's pose here. So the heart lays down, the forehead lands. And you really let the elbows and the forearms land on the earth. Always that option to stay at center or walking the hands off the mat to the right. So maybe now, little deeper through the left side body stretch, right? You might notice it's a little more accessible than in the lunge if you went there. I'm trying to keep the hands about shoulder width apart and my forehead equally between the upper arms. And then this right arm does collapse down. Not even a minute here now. So again, this sense of surrender, of allowing what's meant to unfold to unfold. It's spacious and accepting. Nothing to do but remain here. Taking a few more breaths here. And slowly moving back through center, taking a couple breaths. Notice if you need to shift or adjust the stance at all. And then walking off the mat to the left. So now a nice stretch through the right side body again, trying to keep the hands wide, forehead equally between the bicep. And trying to not to let that right shoulder come unplugged here too much. So stretches in the side body. There's still energetically a sense of that right shoulder remaining in place. Breath is steady but slow, soft. Might be shallow here. Let it happen. Not even a minute now. Last few breaths. And then walking the body back through center when you're ready. Take a few more breaths to land. And then getting ready to come up to a seat. Taking the legs out in front, feet on the earth. Just a few cat-cows from here, really slow. Inhale, heart lifts, shoulders roll down and away from the ears as the throat opens. And when you exhale, arch the back, hollow out through the front body. 2 more times. Heart lifts, inhale. And exhale, round. Good. 1 more. Heart lifts, nice big breath in. Rounding away from the legs. Good. And then a nice lifted spine. So last pair of poses here. You can bring the right ankle to the left knee or thigh. So lots of options. You can have the hands behind you, dropping down to the forearms, or even coming down to the back body here if you'd like. That pose works as well with a wall. So if you were on the back, the left foot would land against a wall or some other support to help you get the hip opener if you'd like. If you have lots of space in the hips, you can actually come into the building or beginning of fire log pose, or often called double pigeon. So you would sweep your left leg sort of over so that the shin is parallel with the short edge of the mat. Right? My right heel stays stacked over my left knee, and my right knee stacks over my left heel. So my shins are essentially parallel. And then from here, we begin to fold forwards, right? Sometimes there's a little bit of mobility there. Sometimes there's a lot. Some people will land sort of forearms on the, over the knees and ankles just as a bit of extra connection, but you want to make sure you're pretty open to begin that. So I have a pretty good amount of space. This is intense, but it's fairly accessible for me. So wherever you've landed, just commit, right? Every variation of this pose has a beautiful amount of benefit. You know, sometimes the intensity can be really engaging for the mind. So make sure you find a balance, right? Something you can hold here for another 1.5 minutes. Yeah, so just take a couple more breaths. Notice if just knowing we're almost done sort of makes you anxious or has you engaging. Try to stay relaxed. Try not to rush the coming out. So it's a chance to be still, sort of present, even in transition. When you come out of the pose, right, just take a few breaths. Right, if you're upright or even laying on the back, sometimes a little windshield washer in the legs feels nice. And then coming into the second side, so starting with the left ankle landing on the right knee, right? This side might unfold a little differently. So for me, this is my less accessible side. I might have already done that side. No. Right, again, option to come down to the back. Right, if you get somewhere, take that first 3, 4, 5 breaths to really acknowledge, right? If you are where you need to be, right? Be willing to accept the limitations. So you'll notice definitely not going to get as deep on this side as I do on the next one, or I did on the first one, sorry. Right, and allowing the body to lead you deeper is an option, but also committing to where you began is an option as well. Another minute here. Last breath or two here. Releasing the legs. And noticing if you need to move either from the back or from your seat. Right, and then just find somewhere to get still. So either laying on the back or finding a seat. Right? Hands on the knees if you're seated, palms up or down. If you're on the back, coming into Shavasana. Right? Take a few breaths, allow the body to relax and relent. Right? Acknowledge that stillness after all that does matter, right? We've been still, but now stillness without intensity, without the mind being engaged in the story of the body. Soften the muscles in the face, the cheeks, the jaw. Right? Let the body collapse a little towards the earth. And maybe you sit in meditation or maybe you take Shavasana, but be willing to find a pause. And only when you're ready do you move on with the rest of your day or your evening, hopefully a little better off from this practice. From my heart to yours, as always, thank you for joining.